Britain, you can unmute. Am I failing to get Britain? Okay. Any other person? Yes, Kembabas.
Thank you, teacher. Let's humble ourselves for prayer. Lord Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity. We thank you for the gift of education. We pray that as we are taken through how to write our project work for GP, all may be well, and it may increase as teacher Kaziba decreases, so that he may fill him with the wisdom he has to impart on us. We thank you, and we pray that all may be well. Amen.
Okay. Thank you so much for the word of prayer, Kembabazi. Yes. Good afternoon once again. Thank you so much for joining. Today we are going to look at I've called it the chapter 3 of our extended essay. Those who have just joined us for the first time, this is our fifth session on the extended essay that we are supposed to write under the individual project in your general paper. So the first part we looked at how you write an introduction. That is like the first chapter, how you write uh, the topic, how you write the background, how you come up with objectives and the research questions. And then we went on and looked at the literature review, how you can review the literature. We looked at how we do the referencing. How do you reference your work when you're writing your extended essay, and which kind of sources do you use? And now we are going to look at the third bit of it, and we call it the methodology. So depending on what you're reading, they can call it the project methodology, they can call it the research methodology, and that's what we are going to look at today. So by the end of this session, I would expect that each one of us here has understood what we call the research methodology. You should be able to know what are you going to put within chapter 3, within this chapter, what are you supposed to include in there. Then you must be able to describe how data is collected and which tools you'll be able to use for analysis, and then how to justify the different methodological choices that you make. So those are the sum of the few things that we are going to be looking at in this particular session. But in case you have any, before we start, in case there is anything you want me to clarify, feel free to let us know through the chat, and then we can proceed from there. But briefly, those are the few things that we are going to be looking at in today's session. So allow me to reshare my screen, and then we proceed. Okay. Now, what is methodology? Now, when we talk about methodology, methodology answers or responds to what we call how. That is what we call methodology. So, by how of the research is what we call the methodology. So, it explains what data is being collected. So, it is going to respond to the magic W's. It's going to be responding to what. That is the first thing. What data is being collected? What are you going to collect from the field for you to be able to analyze? In Senior 5, Term 3, you looked at data collection as one of the topics in GP. So you looked at the different ways you can collect data. So here under methodology, these are some of the questions that are going to be answered. That what data is being collected? Then you'll answer who provides that data. That's what you call the methodology. Now, all the questions here must be responded to. What data is collected, who provides the data, how it is collected, and then how it is analyzed. These are the four major things within the methodology part. What data, who provides the data, how it is going to be collected, and how you are going to analyze. So in simple terms, when we talk about methodology, we are looking at the plan of action. How are you going to achieve the objectives? How are you going to answer, to respond to the research questions that you are able to put forward? Now, that is what you call the methodology. So it responds to how of the research. So this is where you're going to look at the data. Is it going to be qualitative? Is it going to be quantitative? Is it going to be mixed data? Then who provides the data? What kind of sample are you going to use? Are you going to obtain data from learners? Are you going to obtain this data from maybe teachers, from head teachers, from your community members? And how are you going to collect the data? How is it? Are you going to use questionnaires? Are you going to use interview? Are you going to use surveys? Then how are you going to analyze the data? Are you going to use percentages? Are you going to use are you going to use maybe standard deviation? Are you going to use probability and the rest of that? So that's what we call the methodology. Now, when you are attempting or when you are writing about your methodology, all these four things must be answered or must be responded to, because this is the major, this is like the stem of your research when you are carrying it out. Okay, so that one you now. However, as we deal with data or with this part, one of the things you need to know that we have some principles, and one of the principles is that you must be systematic. By systematic, we mean that you must be the data you are collecting, you must be very organized. In whatever thing you're going to do, you must be very, very organized. So that is very important. That's what we call systematic. Then number two is the justification. The justification responds to why. If you have chosen this particular method, why are you using it? So you must be able to respond to the why of that particular one. That in case you have decided to use maybe the qualitative approach, then you must be able to tell us that why have you chosen that approach. In case you have decided to use maybe the descriptive approach, you must be able to answer why are you choosing that particular one. So that is the justification, not you just coming up with anything without you making a justification why you are coming up with that. If you have decided to work out in your community, why are you choosing that particular community? Maybe because of convenience, because you can easily get data. So that is what we call the justification. So the justification must respond to why are you choosing that particular approach. So the reason is because of this and the other. So that is going to be very, very important. So please make sure that you respond to the why of the data. Then number three is what we call replicability. Now, by replicability, we mean that can your research, can the project you are doing be repeated by another person? That if this person decides to, if another person decides to do the same project like you, will this person be able to get the same results like the ones you are going to obtain? That if you go to a community, let me say you have worked out in your community in maybe in Buyukwe, if another person comes and it does research, will the data, will what the person is going to come up with tally what you have obtained? That's what we call replicability. That whoever chooses to do that particular thing within the same locality or within the same period or within the same area, he or she must be in position to obtain the same. So other research people, other researchers, other scholars, once they make the same study, then we expect that the results they are going to get are going to be similar to what you were able to obtain. So that is very, very important. So those are principles that you must be very organized. You must be able to explain why are you choosing that particular approach. That maybe I'm choosing it because of this, because I'm choosing this because of this and this. So those order principles. So those are the things that people will look out for your project, that you have done this particular thing. Is the person organized? Has he been able to justify why he or she is using this approach? And also, can the data or whatever thing he has obtained be repeated? Or once it is repeated, do we get similar results? So that is very important when we are making. So those are some of the key principles that we need to look out for when we are attempting or when we are doing this kind of research. Excuse me. Okay, so we can now proceed. Now, how should the structure of your chapter look like? Now, when we look at structure, there are some things that are supposed to be there, or there are some things that are going to inform how your research is. That when you were in senior 5, term 3, I know your teachers took you through how data is collected. In Senior 3, when you are handling mathematics under data collection, you looked at data. In Senior 1, there is a topic on data again. So all those topics you are doing from Senior 2, from Senior 1, Senior 3, all of them were leading you to how do you obtain data from the environment. So we expect that your teachers at that level, they went on to take you through how to collect data and how to analyze. That's why for anyone doing math, whether you are doing pure math, whether you're doing sub math, you have already looked at a topic concerning data. Now, those topics you have looked at, they are providing you with a foundation on how you can get data from the environment. So that means that it is very important for this particular chapter to know that you are going to mainly deal with the data, because that's what is going to inform your decision. Whenever you are coming up with a decision, always based on the data you have collected. Now, under that chapter, these are some of the things that you must include. Or you may not be able to include, these are the major things that we expect to be there. Number one, once the person goes through your work, he must be able to see the study population. Which kind of population are you studying about? Are you studying the community? Are you looking at teachers? Are you looking at what kind of community are you looking at? Then you need to know that we must also have a sample size. By the sample size, we mean that you may not be able to carry on research across the whole country, across the whole Uganda, no. But you can be able to carry on a few who can inform the kind of research. So that one is very, very important. Then another one are the research instruments. Research instruments, we are referring to what are you going to use to obtain that particular data. That one is also very important. The research instruments, are you going to use questionnaires? What is it that you are going to use to collect data from the field? Are you going to schedule interviews or no? So that is very, very important. And which procedures are you going to follow when you are obtaining this data? So those are some of the things you look out for. How are you going to analyze this data? After obtaining this data, how are you going to be able to analyze it? Then we also have ethical considerations that if you are going in the field to obtain this data, you are going to your village, you are going to the different schools, you are going to the different industries, you are going to the laboratory. What are some of those considerations that you need to look out for? You don't need to just go and bump on someone that you want to take an interview. No. Ethically, you need to inform this person prior that maybe I want to take an interview. You must write a letter. In case you want to take pictures of different things, then there are some things that you need to put into consideration. Then also we have what we call limitations. Much as you may want to collect data from different areas, maybe from very many areas, sometimes we are limited by resources. You may not have enough money. The time may not be allowed. The time you have may not allow you to do some of those particular things. So now for such, those are what we call the limitation. It can be money, it can be time, it can be devices. Yes, so very many things can make you fail to finish or to carry on your project very well. So these are some of the things that you can look out for when it comes to this particular chapter on methodology. So allow me to continue. Now we are going to start breaking them into smaller parts. The first one is what we call the research design. When we talk about research design, we are looking at the blueprint. We are looking at the plan. We are looking at the structure that is going to guide you on how this research is going to be conducted, how you are going to carry on the project. That's what we call the research design. Now, we have different things that research design does. Now, some of the key elements within the research design, like I've told you, it is a plan. It gives you the structure. It guides you on the process you are going to follow in order for you to come up with the results. Now, this research design will guide which data are you going to be able to collect. How are you going to collect this data? It will give you the direction that this is the direction that I'm going to take on. That maybe I will start from here up to this point. That I will go from here up to this point. So it gives you the direction such that whatever thing you are doing it in line with that particular design you have decided to take on. Number 3, it even responds to those questions, the research questions. I know many of you in your schools, you have been able to come up with a research question. Yes, I know your teacher has told you that you need now to have a research question. Yes, those research questions that you are dealing with, it is going to depend on which design you are going to work with. So that is what we call the research design. So the research design is the overall plan or structure that will guide you in the process of conducting your research, in the process of carrying out this particular project. Okay, now we have different types of research designs. Now, some of you who have been attending, I've told you that research design are broad. We have different types, and that's why I was refusing some of you from taking on some topics. The reason was that some of the topics that you are taking on were going to follow under maybe correlational or longitudinal designs, which is something very broad. Now, when you are deciding on which approach to use, longitudinal, we have all these ones are research designs that we have. But here I'm going to be very specific on the one that I would recommend you to use, because your topic, your research questions you came up with will determine which approach to use. Now, some of you were using, let me say, if you go in for what you call longitudinal research, for it, that's where you study something over a long period of time. Let me say you want to know the impact maybe our phones have on children. Now, if that is your study that you are carrying on, what does it mean? For you to know how impactful these phones have been, it means that you need to make observations. You need to study this particular group from maybe year one, year two, year three, because that is what we call longitudinal. It takes a long period of time. That's why I always encourage you, avoid some words like impact, because those ones are going to lead for what we call longitudinal research. We have those ones that will involve in what we call correlation. You are looking at two variables and you want to compare them. So those are what we call them the correlation designs. Then we have those, some of you who have gone on to experimental. Now, experimental design are for those people who have gone into science, biology, chemistry, whereby your individual project is dealing with that. Let me say, you may be there when what you are working on, you are maybe making a study on the different ingredients that they use in the kitchen. You may be there when you are studying some properties, maybe of Omo, Nomi, and the rest of that. You may be there when you are studying things that are scientific, maybe cooking oil and its properties and the rest of that. Now that one can go into experimental. That means that you need to look out for the different variables. It can be within the solar field and the rest of that. That one can be under experimental. We can have case studies, surveys, and the rest of that. But here, I would recommend that we go in for what we call a descriptive design. Now, under descriptive design, because you have come up with your two variables, the independent and the dependent, it means that it is very easy for us to describe what we are going to come up with. So, when we go in for the descriptive design, here we shall focus on what is happening in the field, what is happening in the community where we are. That's what we call the descriptive design. We shall look at the behavior. We shall look at the characteristics. We shall look at the different characters of those variables that we are dealing with. We shall be able to observe the behavior, that if someone takes this, this is what happens. So now that one is more of descriptive. So here we can use surveys, we can observe, and even we can schedule interviews such that we can be able to answer who, what, when, where, and how much. And here, when we come to descriptive design, analyzing of our data is easy. You can easily analyze. You can use percentages. You studied the percentiles. You studied the tally graphs. You went on and studied the histograms. You studied the cumulative frequency curve. You studied line graphs in senior one. Now, all those things you have studied, we can easily analyze them using the descriptive design. So this is the one that I'm going to recommend in our writing, that we go in for the descriptive design, because it is easier even when it comes to analyzing of data. But in case you decide to go in for correlation, you have gone in for experimental design, then you need to be very good with how to analyze data, because when you are analyzing some of this data, may require to have some specialized tools. Let me say, you may find yourself that you will need some language programs such as S.6. You may need some programs such as R programming. You may need some programs such as Python for you to be able to analyze the kind of data you have come up with. But for these ones, for descriptive, we can easily play with the standard deviations, the probabilities, the percentages, and data can be easily summarized and can be easily analyzed. So the kind of design you go in for will determine how the data is going to be analyzed and which approach you are going to choose. But everything here, when you are choosing the design you are working on, it will depend on the research questions, the objectives, the resources, and then the time that is available. Mind you, we have limited time, so I wouldn't expect to go in for something that will take a lot of your time. Now, in case you are writing about it, this is how you can put it. Now, one of the topics that we are dealing with from the start has been on substance use and the mental well-being. So I can say that my study will adopt a descriptive design. Remember, there are two things you need to distinguish. There is what we call the research proposal or research plan, meaning that when you are writing a research plan, you are writing a proposal, we expect you to be very careful with the tense. That we expect to use the future tense because you have not yet carried it out. We expect to be able to use will, that future tense. So when you are writing a proposal, in case the item is asking you to write a proposal, a plan, and the rest of that, be mindful of the tense. Because you have not yet carried it out, we don't expect you to use the tense that that says you have carried it out, yet you have not yet carried it out. You'll only use those tenses after you have carried out the project. But in case you are coming up with a proposal, be mindful of the kind of tense that you use. So this is how you can write about that particular design when you're coming up with your project. Okay. Number two, we have what we call the study population. Now, when we talk about the study population, we are looking at all those people of interest. We are looking at the total group of interest. Take an example. Some of you are going to be carrying out your projects in the community, in the village where you stay. Let me say you want to solve a problem within your society, and you note that around your society you have about 200 people. Now, you note that you going to all these people may take a lot of time, and you may find that they are going to give you almost the same answers. When you go and study all those people, it will take a lot of time and the resources that you may not have. What does it mean? It means that we cannot be able to carry on all those people. That's why the topic, you must have a scope. You must be within a limited area because you may not be able to reach out to everyone. So what does it mean? That out of the total population that you have, you are going to go on and select a few. You are going to go on and get a sample. When you look at this picture here, I was displaying a cake. Like when you go to the party, you'll find that the cake is big, but you cannot eat the whole cake, but instead you just get a piece of it. You just getting a piece of the cake will inform you how delicious this particular cake is. Now, if you have the whole population, you getting a sample will give you a good conclusion on what is within the community. In case you are finding out maybe your study is on substance use and mental being, you'll find out that in case you have gone to a particular school, a particular community, and these people are using substances, you'll find that if you get about, let me say, 30 of all those 200, those 30 will be able to give you the kind of data that will inform your study. That maybe from my study, this is what I have found out, that maybe children who are using maybe a lot of drugs are people who are within maybe senior 3 and senior 4. People who are sleeping for few hours are senior 6 and senior 4s. So that kind of study that you may not be able to carry out. So we are going to be picking a sample from the total population. Even if you have gone to a school that has 1,000 children, you may not be able to get data from all those children, but you pick out a sample, you pick out a few. You say that out of 1,000, at least let me be able to get a given number. So you pick out a few and you can do it using purposively or randomly. But I'm going to show you how you come up with a sample. So in case you have 1,000, how many children should you pick? Now, in case the population is 1,000, we expect that 276 is a good sample around that number. In case you find that the population has 50 people, then 44 people are good enough. In case the population has 400, 196 is good enough. So everything that you are going to do will be considered within that. So why do we pick a sample? Such that we can save time. You can save costs. Remember, this is something that you are going to be doing for within a short period of time. So that is the beauty of the sample. So, but how do you come up with the sample population, the people you are going to sample? Remember, in case you are doing, this is for humanities and social science. In case it is scientific, that for you are carrying on experiments and you are studying something, some variables of a given period of time, we shall expect that you are going to carry on this experiment today, you repeat it, you repeat it, repeat it, you do it about 7 times. You go on observing, coming up and see how things vary over time. But at the end of the day, you may be able to, you have to ask yourself, which kind of knowledge, which kind of gap are you solving, are you covering? Or which kind of problem are you solving within the society? Remember, your individual project must be able to solve a problem within society. You must be able to give your view. You must be able to provide knowledge at the end of the day. But in order for you to be able to solve a problem, you must have the data. You must have the evidence. You must investigate the issue. You must go deep and ask yourself those questions such that you can be able to come up with a solution. Now, how do you select a sample? Like here, when we talk about the population, I'm looking at, let me say, you are working within your village. The total population of your village, let me say it is 1,000. Now, after obtaining that you are going to work within Wakiso district, you are going to work within your area, then you need to decide how many people are you going to work on? How many people are you going to interview? How many people are you going to be able to sample? And which technique are you going to use? Now, those are the things you are going to look out for. Now, when we are sampling, we can use here what we call the Morgan's table, Craig and Morgan's table. It looks like this. Now, this table has been designed in research to tell us N stands for the population. These are the population. This is the population. And S tells you the sample. Let me say your community has 15 people. Then it means that the number of people, for you to be able to get good information, you must be able to sample 14 people. In case your community has 60, then 52 is good enough. In case you have 360 students, then 186 will give you good research. In other words, when you are distributing your questionnaires, when you are going to get information, those are the number of people you should go in. But because we are doing our individual project and the time, I wouldn't expect or I would advise that for whatever thing you are going for, look out for a population that is small because it will become easier for you to collect this data. So don't go in for big populations. Don't go in for an environment which has very many people because you may not be able to collect this data and analyze it. You'll find that it is very, very big. Let me say you go in for 5,000. Getting 357 people is very easy. Let me say you're working within a school environment. It is very easy for you to get the 357. All of them can be able to fit in, but you need to be mindful. Will these children be able to fill in my questionnaire well? That yes. Will I be able to analyze this data? Because that is very important. Because you must sit down and sort it out that this is qualitative, this is quantitative, this and this. So it may take a lot of time that you may not have. And since we are just starting some of these things, it may not be easy for you at the start. So you need to be very, very yes, you must be very careful when you are choosing the population. So I would advise that go in for small numbers such that you can be able to obtain data within a short period of time. And also when it comes to analyzing, things can be a bit much easier. This table is available. You can use the internet to get it and it is the standard. So here I'm not going to show you the formulas and the rest of that. So that one, you'll find it at another level. Now, we have what we call sampling methods. Now, sampling methods, we have what we call the probability and what we call the non-probability sampling technique. Like one of the reasons, for whatever topic you are studying, there is a reason why you learn it. When you check out in math, those who are doing sub-math and you are doing also pure math, you'll find out that you have looked at probability. In O level, each one of you here looked at the probability. The reason probability was preparing you for such. So, when you talk about sampling, here we are going to look at how are you going to know which kind of people you are going to use. In case you have gone to a school, you have found that we have maybe a class of senior 3. How are you going to choose which people to go to take on? That maybe I'll pick on this person, I'll pick on this person, I'll pick on this person. Now, do you need to know? That under sampling, we have different types. We can choose randomly. Take an example. Recently, during the pre-test, UNEB used the sampling technique. They just chose randomly. But also, it had a form where they had what you call purposive sampling. Because when you go to, let me say you have gone to a school, you may find that out that the children you want children who are doing maybe textile. And you may find that, and if you are to choose randomly, you will find that you may, in the group of senior 6 students you have, maybe in case they bring for you a group, you may find out, like, let me say they have bought for you 5 people to choose from. You may, if you are to use probability randomly, you may find out that the 2 people you want, none of them is doing textile. Okay, sorry. So these are some of the techniques that we do have. But here it is up My goodness. La, 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 la. Eh, kindly let me know. Where did I stop? I'm just not saying that I've been muted. So kindly let me know where you last heard me talk. Okay, where? Sampling methods. Okay, I'm going to let me maybe say something from here. The sampling methods, okay. So I was saying, but anyway, I think you were able to read here as I was explaining something, but like I've said, what is important is that for whatever thing you decide to choose to use, you must be able to justify that I'm doing this because of this, I'm doing this because of this. But like I've said that here, I would always advise that don't go in for very many respondents because you are not going to be able to analyze that data. Yes. So go in for few whereby analyzing of that data is going to be easy. And remember, you are looking at solving community problems. Okay. Now, we have sources of data. Now, we have two sources. We have what we call primary and what we call secondary data. Primary data is first-hand information you get. That data you are going to get as an individual. And we have what we call secondary data. Secondary data is that data that you get from literature, from internet, from books, from journals, from YouTube, and the rest of that. Now, when it comes to primary data, that is you as a researcher, you as a student. That's the data you are going to obtain on your own, whereby you are going to go to your community, to your village, you get this information. Anything you get from there is what we call primary data. Anything you read from the internet, from books, from journals, and the rest of that, we call it secondary data. Now, when it comes to primary data, how do we obtain? To obtain primary data, we have different methods we can use. The methods of collecting this primary data, one of them we call it the questionnaires. We can use questionnaires. We can use interviews, but also we can observe people. There are some of the things you're working on may require you to observe the behavior of a person. Let me say you are dealing with some kind of study that involves observation. You observe someone and look at the kind of pattern. In case you are looking at how infrastructure facilities contribute to the academic performance of children, you are going to look at the different infrastructure facilities they have in this particular school. You may be asking yourself, why is this particular school performing so well all the time? Then you look at the infrastructures they have. You'll find that maybe they have a computer lab. That one requires you to observe, not to ask questions. You observe that they have a computer lab, they have a laboratory, they have these textbooks and the rest of that. Now that is observation. So you can observe and say that this particular school, they have 15 computers, they have 15 this, they have 20 textbooks and the rest of that. Now that one you observe and see such that you get first-hand what? Information. But there is some kind of information you may want. But when it has a lot of privacy, someone may not come and tell you that, you know what, I take drugs, I have an illegal phone, and the rest of that. But once you make a questionnaire and ask them, they can be able to tell you that, you know what, why I'm always sleeping in class because I'm always using my phone at night. If someone can reveal it in a questionnaire whereby his name is not being recorded. When it comes to knowing more about these children, you may find out that the teacher has information. You can see that in some schools or in some settings, you may find that some teachers are so close to some children and they can have quite a lot of information about them, about kids and the rest of that. So they can be able to give you good good what? Information. School counselors, head teachers, and the rest of that. So now you need to know which method are you going to use. Are you going to use questionnaires? Are you going to use interviews or observation? That is for primary data. Now, in case you are dealing with qualitative, then you need to know that maybe I'm going to use books, maybe I'll use journals, reports, internet, and the rest of that, simulations, and the rest of that. So that is very important for you to know which kind of method you are going to use to get that particular data, because the sources of data determine the kind of method to use when you are collecting the data. Now, the data collection methods are basically three, but we have others we can use. So, depending on what you are doing, in case you are going to, because remember your project is aimed at solving a problem within society, and there is no any way you are going to solve a problem within society when you are not on ground. You cannot say, I will solve it because I've seen it. Some of you, let me say, when you look at the when it rains heavily, floods and the rest of that, when you look at it, you may think that using your eyes to observe that when it rains heavily, floods, we shall have floods in Kampala. Right, there is a problem, but you may not be able to solve it by just watching. You may not be able to get the whole or the information if you have not been on ground. You need to go on ground and ask yourself, where is the problem? You need to go and interview people one by one. But what is the problem? People will be able to reveal that, you know what? Once it rains, for us, we shall get all our garbage and throw into the trench. So you need to know that, that is a problem. But you may not be able to get that information if you have not gone on ground. So we expect that when you are carrying out your project, you are going to go on ground such that you get first-hand what? Information. But some information can be obtained through these questionnaires, the interviews, and then through observation. In case you are looking at let me say, in case your study is on how these phones, internet, and the rest of that are contributing to the rest of that, or maybe to academics, contributing to the well-being, you need to observe some behaviors. You'll find that these children, once they get their gadgets, they can be there 5 hours. What are they watching? Maybe they are watching, those shorts on YouTube, TikTok, and the rest of that. So some things may require you to observe such that you can come. In case you are looking at how they contribute to their health, then you need to observe the sitting posture, how do they use their phones, what angle, and the rest of that. So those are some of the things you need to look out for. Now, each of those methods is important, but it will depend on what your objective is. In case you are looking for opinions, to get opinions from people, then you need to know that the best method to use is the interviewing. In case you are looking at learning or observing a given behavior, then you need to know that the method I can go in for is the observation. If you want to get very many people's opinions and the rest of that for many respondents, then the questionnaire can be the good approach. And how do you write about your method you have used? This is how you can structure your method. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause, and I now invite some few questions from what we have so far done. Okay. Number one, Kengoma, you can unmute.
So my question is about the research design. You told us that the best design to use is the descriptive design, but if you're handling a topic that, okay, can I use more than one research design? Like, let's say I use descriptive and also survey, or I use descriptive, survey, and experimental, or I should stick to one.
Okay, I would advise that you stick to one. One is just enough. It will bring out all the other ideas. Now, the moment you mix many, what will happen is that what happens is that you'll find that analyzing data is a bit complicated because in case you have experiments, the way we analyze data of experiments is not the same way we are going to analyze data when it comes to correlation. Like when it comes to correlation, you are going to go on and look at your knowledge or you studied correlation. You studied Spearman's correlation. You studied the T distribution. So it means that when you are, in case you are using correlation approach, we shall expect you to talk about the T value, to talk about the R value, and the rest of that. So that's why I was trying to avoid it. But if your topic, that's where it is leading you, then it is okay for you to know how to use them. But now that means that you'll know how to correlation. Then it means that there, because you need to look at the relation between two or more variables, then it means that you use the Spearman, you go on and use those T distribution and the rest of that for it when it comes to analyzing the data. Yeah. Then in case you are to use the surveys mainly, it means that you use mainly questionnaires and interviews. Now that means that the data you are going to have is mainly going to be the qualitative bit of it. Most so if at all you go on to interviews. So in order for you to analyze that data, it means that you need advanced tools such as SPSS. So for whatever approach design you go in for, just know it's going to require you to use a given design, a given tool when it comes to analysis. Yeah. Yes, Sema?
Sir,
Yes.
I was asking about, can we use the primary source of data and secondary? Can we choose one?
Oh, now for that one, we use both. We use both. When it comes to your literature review, all those different things you are including, that is that's like secondary data. Then secondary data, in case your study is mainly a qualitative approach, more so for people who have gone into historical things and the rest of that, then for you to find yourself that you are mainly going to use the secondary data. You are going to based on what people have found out, and then you'll conclude. More so for people who are using simulations, those experiments, what people have already done, you can mainly use secondary data. Yeah. But here, because we want you to be able to apply the knowledge you learn at school into your community such that you solve problems within your society, I would advise that having primary and secondary data is okay, is the best. Eh, because such that people now know, people can value that if someone has gone to secondary, he or she has been able to do this and the other. Not you just finishing secondary school and at the end of the day, there's no any way you're contributing to the development of your society. That's why we want you now to go to the ground, identify those problems within society, and support them to make decisions. The data you collect is very helpful when it comes to decision making. Hey, so it is very, very helpful. Someone even can do things concerning career because I've already noticed there is a problem with the combination children are choosing. That one is already a problem. You can come up with a solution to it. You can gather data. People, how many people have changed the combination in a given schools? You find someone started with PEM, and as we talk now, the person is doing hell. The person started with BCM, as we talk now, the person is doing DEG. Yeah, so you can go and interview and find out what happened, and then you can back it up with more secondary data. What are other people doing? So secondary data sometimes can help you to as a backup when you are explaining your primary data. But let's use both. Yes, Rogers. Okay, I'm not getting Rogers. Abdu. Okay, I'm not getting Abdu. Infinix.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Master, I'm quite confused. I reached when the meeting has already begun, and they would like you to pick us from where we were, because most of the students have been talking about this project, but we don't know exactly what we are meant to do, and it is bringing confusion in our school because most of us we are lacking teachers for general paper, and we are like that.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry about that. But
Mm.
what I want you to know that when you reach at, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to advise that at the level
Mm.
where you are, the teachers will be, it is
Mm.
very, I would advise that make it more personal to go on and carry out research as an individual. Do not wait for anyone to
Mm.
support you. Some of this information is available
Then
from different sources. So don't wait for the school, don't wait for the teachers. Once you get an opportunity, and that's why I always encourage you that if you are studying any subject, go and access the syllabus. Look out for the syllabus book, go on and check out as the teacher taught this, as the teacher looked at this and the other. Don't wait for them. Because for them, it is okay. They may have the time, sometimes they may not have the time. But go and check out what is the syllabus saying in biology, in physics, and the rest of that, such that you know that I am supposed to cover this and let me make research. That's why we always encourage you that at this level, you must be able to do a lot of research. You don't need to depend on the teacher at all. The teachers will just be supporting you to become better. Go and ask them that maybe teacher, I'm stuck here, such that they can support you. But how can we support you for now? You are going to go and revisit. I've said we have done about 5 sessions. Now, all those sessions we have done, you can go on and start slowly, learning how to generate those research questions, how to come up with objectives, and the rest of that, such that you can know. Because in case I don't know whether many of you were able to observe when you were signing up on those how many papers general paper has. You need to check out such that at least you do not disadvantaged. But I'm going
mm.
to repeat at the end of the session. At least I will give a recap on what is expected. Yeah, at the end of the session. But members, you're going to allow me. Your hands are many, and I know I may be able to respond to some of those questions after.
Good
Yeah,
afternoon, sir.
allow me to first continue and
Good
then I'll
afternoon, sir.
get back to the questions. Yes? Okay. Now,
Can
we have what we call research instruments. Now, instruments are the actual tools you are going to use in order for you to get the data from the field. I repeat, research tools or research instruments are the actual tools. I want you to distinguish between the two. We have what we call the methods. Methods are questionnaires, interview, and observation. But the actual things you use, like questionnaire forms, like interview guide, observation checklist, are what we call the research instruments. So distinguish between what we call the method and what we call the instrument. So those two things are totally different. So the instrument you use is generated from the method. In case your method is questionnaire, then you will design a questionnaire form. In case it is an interview, then you design an interview guide. In case it is observation, then you design an observation checklist. However, the tool to use will depend on the objectives you are dealing with. Your objective will determine which tool to use. That maybe I'll use this because of this. Take an example. In case the tool, these are my objectives for my study. In case these are my objectives, I'm going to come and ask myself, what tool is best for this objective? That if I want to know the frequency of substance use and the mental being of learners, then the best method to use is questionnaire. And which research tool am I going to use? That I'm going to use what we call a questionnaire, like a questionnaire form is what I'm going to design. So each objective will, you may find that you are going to use all the three methods depending on the objectives you have. In Senior 5 Term 2, your teachers exposed you to a lot of research papers. It depends on the school where you are. But when you look at the syllabus, it told the teachers, or in your syllabus, you were supposed to look at different research papers that people have written. And you are supposed to analyze them, look at the methods they have used, look at their research questions, and the rest of that. And if you looked at those papers people wrote and what your teachers exposed you to, you may have found out that they had questionnaires in their appendices. Because when you have to publish a paper, you always must include in your appendix the questionnaires, the checklist you used, and the rest of that. And when you remember in your O level, all the subjects, we had checklists, observation checklists. So that one is also another form of how you can obtain data. So you can go back and check out how those checklists were designed by UNEB. So whatever thing you are doing now, it's not something very new. It is something you have seen, you have observed, and you have been doing. But now here, we want you now to get involved on how to make it yourself. So now the question here, when you look at my objective here, my objective has two, or the research question has two variables, has the independent and has the dependent variable. Independent is like the cause, and then the effect is the dependent variable. That means that when I'm designing, I'm coming up with a question here, I'm going to have the frequency of substance use and the levels of mental well-being. And what is the research question? This is the question that I want to respond to. So being okay, so I'm going to continue. So when I'm designing my questionnaire, now like I've said that here, for me to know the frequency of use, frequency of use, like how many times has someone used it, when did the person start using it, like that. Someone may not tell you face to face that when you go for interview, someone will tell you, I've been using it since childhood. But when you put it in a questionnaire form, someone may be able to respond. So choosing the right method and the right instrument is very key. So this is how I can put it in my essay that the study will use. I've said that yes, sorry, I think my internet where I am is not so good. It's not so good. Yeah. Where I am, the internet's not so good. So this is how you can put it, more so in your questionnaire when it comes to the kind of method you are using and you're writing about the method. And for the method, don't worry, you can use all. You can say the study will use questionnaires and interviews as the main data collection methods. So in case you are going to use also observation, you put all that the study or the project or I will use questionnaires, interviews, and this. Whenever you're going to be doing a project, even in future, yeah, you can use all approaches. And what you're doing now, I want to let you know that it is applicable in real life. Even life, when you're going to establish a business, If you're going to establish any good business, you need to first collect data, information. Otherwise, when you just bump into the business because you have had someone say that, you know what, once you go into goat farming, there is a lot of money. You are going to make errors. You're going to go on and find things different. But first go on and collect data. Ask people. Go and make interviews. Go and ask now, maybe this person maybe has done goat farming. How is the person doing? How is this business? Then the person will give you information. You go back and analyze. Go on and ask different people. It can be observation. You may look at someone's business, how the things are doing, and then also find out, go and interact. That's how you're going to get that and to know which business would suit you, which business will be very good. That's what we are saying here in your project you are doing. That in order for you to make a good conclusion, in order for you to solve a problem, you must be able to collect data. If you are planning to establish a business in the future, without data, never start a business. Otherwise, you are going to end up making errors. Even the same thing will happen to the courses you are going to choose for university. Don't go in for the course, don't go in for something if you have not gathered enough data. Let me say you want to go in for medicine as your course. Go and ask people who have done it. How is this particular course? Go and interview people who are in the field. You can come up with some questionnaires such that those people can give you the real information. Otherwise, once you bump in, you may find that your personality type with your thinking style are not matching with what even you want to do in future. So you need to know that whatever thing you are looking out for, it must correlate very well such that you can come up with a good conclusion. So what you are doing is applicable in life, and anyone who will master how to do this kind of projects, you'll find your life very easy even in the future. Whether you are establishing a business, you are choosing a course to do, or anything you are going to be doing in the future, because the ability to solve a problem is what is going to make you different from another person. Okay. So I think I've talked about this, the different tools we can use, the questionnaires, observation, and then the checklist. But like I've said, it will depend on the kind of objective or research question you are dealing with. So allow me now to take you through how to develop a questionnaire or how your questionnaire should look like. So when you look at my screen, I've have a sample of a questionnaire. Now, since you are going to go to the field to collect information, the first thing always it is good to first introduce yourself to these people. That who are you? That my name is Kaziba Steven. I'm a student in senior 6 at this school and this school. What are you doing? I'm conducting a project on this and this. And why are you doing it? It is a requirement for my individual project. So first have a brief introduction of who you are. Don't just bump onto someone and tell the person. So now this one gives a background on who you are. Then number 2, give instructions to the people who are going to respond to your questionnaires. Give them the instructions on what you want them to have. That 1, I want you to tick. 2, I want you to be honest. Why is the person supposed to be honest? Because you don't want to get data that is what? Biased. Whenever you get information that is biased, you'll end up getting making wrong choices. I'll give you an example of data that is biased. The data that what some schools are submitting for your continuous assessment is not good data. Why? Because many schools are not honest with what they submit at UNEB. Consequently, what is it leading to? It is making many of the children make wrong choices on the combinations they are doing. Because at the end of the day, UNEB will use them the way the school submitted them. The child will find himself getting an A, much as the child may know that surely this A came, but things were not that good. But because the parent has seen an A appearing, the parent will say, don't waste my A, don't waste the A. that you have an A in biology, don't waste the A. Go in for biology. And at the end of the day, the child will struggle with a combination and things may not work out. And you have seen many of them changing combinations in senior 6. So whenever someone is not honest with the data they provide, it will have consequences in the future. So that's why you need always to read for them the instructions. If you have gone to a community, read for them. Now, some of the communities where we are communities that don't understand English. What does it mean? It means that your questionnaire you're going to develop, you must develop it in the language people understand. Some of them cannot read. You must be able to read for them. So the good thing is that Google can translate for you from Luganda to English, from English to Luganda, from Runyankole and the rest of that. You can have that Google translator such that they can translate for you your questionnaires. But make sure that whatever thing you put here, people can understand. So you must check out. That's why it is important to know the kind of population you are going to deal with. Are these people understanding English, Luganda, and the rest of that, such that whatever thing you are going to come up with can be responded to. Now, we have what we call background information. Now, background information about the respondent, because different gender, one of them is the gender or the sex. We respond differently. Men and women, or male and female, have different thinking styles, different moods whenever they are working out on some things. You'll note that maybe when it comes to female, sometimes you may find that they are very emotional when they are dealing with certain things. So their responses may vary from male. That's why now your data will inform. You may notice that there is some pattern that you may find out that from the data I've obtained from the girls, their things are like this. Many of them are saying this and this and this. From male, you'll find this and this. Even when you are analyzing your data, you'll reach and see that from my data, more male or more men or more boys participated compared to female. That may be the kind of percentage that male contributed 55% compared to the women who contributed 45%. That's why even when it comes to UNEB analysis of the data, you will note that they will give that the male students were contributing 54% and the girls were this. When it came to performance, the ladies performed better than male. And by what percentage? By this percentage and this percentage. So that's why we need it in, because it will be very important when you're analyzing. Now, two, you'll need the age bracket. But when you're putting the age, don't put 10, 11, 12. Many times people don't want to disclose their age. But people will say, I'm between this and this. So it can be very comfortable for a person to tell you the range, that maybe I'm between 10 and 14. But someone may not be able to tell you the exact age, because you know that, this person wants to calculate my age. So you leave it open. So that's why when you are looking at data, in senior 3, you looked at data collection and you used to have age. When you are grouping age, you used to say between 10 to 15, between 16 to 20, something like that. You used to have something of this nature. So why were you having something of that nature? Is to show that age, we categorize it in ranges, that from this to this, from this to this, something like that. So that is very, very important. So this one, let me say this is 9. So you need to be very, very careful with that. Or this one can be 11, no problem. 11 to 15, 16 to 20. Then you need to know the class of the children you are dealing with. That maybe the person is in senior 1, senior 2. Now, it depends on the kind of data you are dealing. Sometimes you may find that class is not important, so you don't need it there. In case you are working with community, here you know that the people you are going to mainly deal with are youths. So you say now between 18 to maybe 20, between 21 to 30. Now in case you come to those judges, the grants, you can say about 50 years. Support Okay, I was saying that I think there is a problem with where I am, but we shall push slowly. So then it depends. You know that when children spend a lot of time in school, they may be able to know all the different corners of the school. That's why I'm telling here, number of years spent in this school. Because you may be carrying out something within a school environment and you have new children that have just joined the school. Those ones may have little data. But someone who has been there for 5 years may be able to tell you that, you know what, in this school, this and this, this and this, this and this. So you may also need to look out that for children who have been in school for so long, are the children who are using drugs a lot, or children who have just joined the school from other schools are very good with drug abusing and the rest of that. So you need to check out that as well. Even here, in case you are working in the community, you may ask yourself, how many years has the person been on this ground? That maybe someone has been here since time memorial, maybe since this and this. So all that can give you good information about this particular thing or study that you are coming up with, such that now even when you are disseminating this information, it can be very good for you. So this is what you can include in the background. In case even you can include other things, depending on what you are doing. You may find that in case you are going to do on head teachers, you may need to find out the kind of responsibilities and the rest of that. So that one is very, very important when you are coming out. So that is little about background information. Now, and that one you can call it section A. Then when it comes to, even in case you are you are in community, you can even put the level of education. Where did the person stop? Maybe the person stopped in primary, secondary, or university. You can put the level of education. Depending, in case you are going to go to your village in a community, you can put the level of education. Because different people respond differently. Someone who stopped at primary, when it comes to practical knowledge, you may find that person is very good. It's going to give you a lot of information. Someone at university will respond differently. Even so you can put the level of education such that you know that someone stopped at primary, another one stopped at secondary, another one stopped at university. So that those things can be put under the background information. Now, when it comes to section B and C or D, this is where now you're going to break your information. You are going to break your information into small chunks. This is where now you start breaking everything you want into. And I'm going to advise that for easy analysis of data, you go in for Likert kind of approach, whereby you don't, because you know that the kind of people you're dealing with, people don't want to write a lot. So sometimes they just want to tick. So when it comes here, even here you'll give them guidance that tick your gender, that I'm a male, I'm 18 years and above, I'm in senior 6, I've been in this school for 1 to 3 years. So that's how you should guide them, because they may not know how to use your tool. Now, when it comes to now here, this is where now you're going to break. In senior, I think, yes, senior 5, you looked at how to come up with questionnaires. because that competence required you to know how to collect data, how to analyze, and the rest of that. But still also in senior one, when you are covering data collection, there was a component of collecting data. In senior 3, when you are looking at, in term 1, when you are looking at data collection, still the competence required you to know how to collect data and how to analyze and how to present it using maybe a histogram, bar graph. In senior 1, it required you to know how to present the data using pie charts and line graphs and a bar graph and even pictograms. Senior 3, then it required you to go a bit more advanced. In senior 5, I know you have looked at correlation approaches, you have looked at anything. So every level you have been looking at the data thing. So now here you in case you have one research question or two or three, this is now where you start breaking them such that you know which kind of information you want that will help you to respond and know where the problem is. So here, let me say I'm talking about frequency of substance use. I ask myself, I use substance frequently. Then the child will say, I agree, strongly disagree, or neutral. Or I'm not sure. So the child will come and tick where he thinks is not. Let me say I use substances, then I will tick that. Sure, I use them. Then I sometimes use here now in case you are talking about you add on other things depending on what you are dealing with. I sometimes use during my free time, maybe say I agree, disagree, like that. So the child keeps on ticking whatever statement and how he views that particular statement. So you say, now this is about the IV, your independent variable. Then from there, I didn't include it. And then from there, you go on and you break down the dependent variable. And also you put, and then the child takes. Now, in case you have two objectives, then you deal with those two objectives very well. In case you have three, you deal with those three objectives very well. But you break them, you develop different research questions that can help you to respond and come up with a conclusion from this particular data. And then after everything, you go on and test out. Now, this is how you can develop it. But now, still the same thing can be done depending on on the time you have. So, I will also encourage you that depending on your, because when you develop these questionnaires, don't forget you are supposed to type them. To have your work typed, or you must distribute them. So you may not have the money, the resources to print about 85 and then you give them to the people to do for you. So what do you need to do? You can as well improvise and say, I can type it. Now, in case you go in for the digital approach, whereby you can send it to these students and they fill for you the information. In case you are using Google, you can come here where you are seeing me here. I'll come here under Google Apps. I'll come and I will check out for forms. I'll click on forms like that. Now, when I come to forms, the first thing I always want you to ensure is that you own that form yourself. Always check out that because you can develop something and anyone who has access to the internet can access your work. That is owned by anyone. Anyone who will go to Google Form will find your form of which you don't want. There is no confidentiality there. So you come here and say owned by me. First change that setting. After setting it, come here and get a blanker form here and say a blank form. Then you are going to start designing. What is the title here? You put your questionnaire. So now, like, because I've already designed, you're going to allow me to just copy and paste. So I'll say questionnaire form. I'll come here and say questionnaire form here. I'll put the questionnaire. Now, the description is you talk about yourself. That's like, like I've told you who you are and the rest of that. So I'll copy that here and then I'll come and I paste it here like that. So that is just a brief background about who you are. Now you'll come here, the first one. Now still, you can have your work put into sections because you want people. So you can first put sections in case you want. The first section is just a brief background of who you are, what you want. So here I can come and say, I want to put instructions. So like you said, you saw here, I had instructions. So I can come here, sorry, and I put instructions. I'll come here and say instructions to respondents. But I want you to come here and check out that if I'm to put instructions, which approach is better. Here you can go in for a paragraph, to write a paragraph. And then you'll come here. In case you want that, you can choose that. In case you don't want to use you can say short answer, such that you can give them the instruction to use. So you'll come here and come here. Sorry. And then you can paste for them the instructions. In case you don't want that, you can say, let me choose multiple choice. And then you put for them the different instructions they are supposed to follow, like that. Then from there, since you are writing the first section, you can still come here and then even here, you can test them whether they have understood the instructions. So you can come there and say, I want check boxes. Such that people tick that have you understood this? Yes. Have you understood this and the other? Then now you can come and now start on the background. Remember, you're working on the background information section A. You say 6. So I will come here, I just copy 6. I'll come here and say 6. Now 6 is either you are male or female. Though I know some people are in between there. But here you can say male, and here yes, then you put egg. But there are people who may not be able to disclose their sex. And then, because you want these people to fill in whatever thing you have, because if you leave it open, people may not fill in. So you come here under required and make it required because you want it. You want people to fill it. Go to the second question, and then I'm going to just copy it here, age brackets. Then I'll come here, age bracket, and then I'll come here and I put age bracket in years. Then I start 9 to 10 years. Then 11 to 18. 18 and above. Now, for whatever thing you want them to choose only one, better always to choose multiple choice. But if you want them to choose very many answers, use checkboxes. So here, since I want them to choose only that, I make it a requirement. Then I can go to section 2. Section 2, that's where now you start now breaking your things. Still come, give them the instruction to choose from. First put that this is section B, and then come here, give them the instructions to follow. And then now start the questions. Now, when it comes to this kind of delicate here, you will choose here, I use substances frequently. So I'll come here and I paste that item there. Now, still, are you seeing here? The moment you use that approach, you'll come and check. They'll even bring for you, say, strongly this, say, put all. Now you make it what? A requirement. Go to the next one. Go and pick your question that you want people to fill in. Pick it, come here and put it there. Then they will bring for you, put all. Yeah. Then after, make it a requirement. Then you do like that up to when you finish. Now, after finishing designing your questionnaire like this, what are you going to do? First, preview how your questionnaire looks like. I'll come here under preview. Check how do the respondents, people are going to respond, how will they look at it? Then you know that it will look like this, it will look like this. After filling, it will take the person to the next section. Then you say, it is okay. In case it is okay, then after that, come here under settings. Hope you are seeing settings here. Now, when you come to settings here, you may want to collect their information, say email or not. In case you don't want, say don't collect. In case you want, you can say them collect. Then I want you to come here under responses and then let them limit it to one response. Don't have, because someone may fill in multiple times and you may think you are getting information. Yet someone is just, the same person is the one filling in. So limit it to one person. Then after that, you are good to go. What next? What next is going to be, still come here. This form, depending on your teachers, you may decide to share it with your teacher such that the teacher may look through to guide you better. So this is where you're going to type your teacher. That maybe my teacher is who? Let me say my teacher is Kaziba. So I will share it with my teacher and you will see it. In case you want to share it maybe with, let me say your parent or any person, you come here and type and then let me say I'm going to share it with these people. I'm going to share it with any email I have, maybe Shan and the rest of that. So you type there what? Their emails here. You type for those people you want to share them with. And then here you may decide that these people you are sharing, in case you want it to be shared among students at your school, you can type all their emails here and they respond. In case you want these people to edit, in case it is your teacher and you want him to edit, you will come here and change this person and say you want the teacher to edit. In other words, you want this teacher to help you to put your questions much better or even to give you some feedback. And then you send. In case you want people to respond, you put respondent and then you put all their emails. After putting, let me say these are the kids. I'm going to just put, these are the kids I want. I'll put. Then after, I say I want them to respond. And then I say share. Now, it will go to all those people I've put and they'll be able to see this particular form. In case you want to publish it and share the link, you come here, you say publish. And then you'll come and say publish. And then even you can put for them a message that okay, it depends. You put here just a message for them. And but for me, I just want, don't respond to this. I'm just using, so you just put for them the message that kindly respond to this form at your any convenience. And then you say publish and notify. So the moment you publish, those people will be able to see that form and they respond. But you may also want to share the link with people. So to share the link, you come here, you say manage, you say publish. The moment you publish, allow me to remove these people here. I don't want the message. But once you say publish, okay, allow me to, I wanted to remove, but anyway, it's okay. So I will come here and I say publish and notify. The moment I publish, they are going to send you a link here. I can shorten it a bit here and I say copy the link. And therefore now I can be able to paste it to people and those people can just click on the link and respond accordingly. So that is what you can do. In case you want to add more things like to customize, you can come here under themes, choose out an image you want to use depending on your project or when you have designed or depending on what you are talking about, pick any image and then insert it there. So your questionnaire, when it goes to people, it will look a bit different. It will have an image here and to become a bit beautiful. So that's how you can generate. But do not forget to save it. The beauty with Google Forms, they are saved automatically, but give it a name because you may find yourself having very many. You just click there and say, this is my individual project questionnaire. Yeah, and then it will be saved. In case you don't have a laptop, you don't have, those using phones, just go on internet and type Google Form. And then you'll come in and you can be able to access it. You can as well, and you'll be able to access, because for me, I'm already signed in. That's why. So whoever fills in this form, I'll be able to see them here, that the person has responded. But now at the moment, no one has responded. No one has responded. But in case someone responds, maybe let me delete this section, and then can you just respond to that item? Just respond to it. That form I've pasted in the link. Just fill in a few. I want just 2 people to fill in. So just don't, the beauty is they will not share your name. That's why we make it anonymous, such that people. So I've reduced the questions such that people can fill in quickly. So what will happen now? Once someone responds, for you as a person, you will come here, and then you will be able to see the responses people have put in your questionnaire. And then even it's going to become easy when it comes to analyzing data, because now you know that more here in your that more female members are okay, more male are participating compared to the female. Yeah, but allow me to close it, because also you can come here to close it such that people don't respond. You can manage it. You can say now, since I've obtained the number of people I want, 26 are enough. I'll come here and I say, I don't want more responses. And then you close it. Now, like I've closed it. Yeah. So that's how you generate that particular Google form, and people now will be able to respond back to you. The same idea you can use in case you have established your business and you want people to give you feedback, how your product is working. This is how you can do it. This is how you can do it, and you get feedback. You have organized the party and you want people to give you feedback. This is the same approach you can use. So that's how you generate a Google form. And what is going to be our homework? For whatever thing you are working on, this is more so for, because like we have said, you have to collect information, except for people who are into science, those who are doing experiments and the rest of that. So for you may not be able to collect the data, depending on your topic. So I'm going to ask you that for that particular topic you are dealing with, can we develop a Google form? Where is the beauty? The beauty is that we have children already in holiday. So you can be able to get some data and then you learn from them. What we are doing now, before you launch out any questionnaire when you are conducting research, always first carry out a sample and see how people have responded to, such that, because in your proposal, or when you are going to conduct it, you don't just take the form the way you have seen it. No, people need to first sample it. That's why even UNEB, you first do a pre-test before before you do UNEB. Some pre-tests are done. Those pre-tests are going to inform that this task is so demanding, we may be reduced. That maybe the questionnaire you have developed has very many questions. If it has very many questions, people will not be able to respond very well. So maybe reduce the questions. Now that is the reason for pre-testing. So I'm going to ask you that for whatever topic you are dealing with, can we come up with simple questionnaires? And then we shall share them on our WhatsApp group, on our channel, such that people can now respond, can give you some feedback, such that you know what are people saying about your questionnaire. And the questionnaire we are going to come up for our pre-testing, here, sometimes, like I've showed you these ones, but also you may want people to write something there, their opinion. So here you choose short answer, but we have people who can write paragraphs. So you put them paragraphs such that they can exhaust whatever thing they want to share with you. So this is how you develop that particular questionnaire that we can use to get data. Yes, but I know there are others you can use depending on the resources you have. Sometimes this is the basic, but also we have what called SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey can also be used to create a survey. The only challenge with it, you may need to pay for it for SurveyMonkey, but also it can be used to create the data you want. That is another form. So SurveyMonkey is very common. you'll find it there. But for it to use it, you first create an account. For you to be able to create an account, you sign up. Let me show you. You come here and sign up. So after signing up, you can be able to generate those different things. So allow me to use my Google, since already these are my things. Allow me to use Google. Allow me to use Google. So you can just use Google and then you create your account. Okay, so that's how you can create an account with SurveyMonkey, but also it can be used to create those questionnaires, to create surveys and other things you want for your project work. Yeah, even you may decide to use Google Form and then you print it out. You can as well print it out and then you serve out those questionnaires. That one is also very okay. So you may create a survey from here. Yes, so you can create a survey, but for you to get the best experience is when you have a paid version. But you can start with the template that they have. Let me say this is the template they have. Then for you can come here and then just create edit or you customize. You customize what they have. You can be allowed to customize this, to customize this. Like you can see this is what they have. So for you, when you come here and you have to use the survey marker, you just come where there is edit and then you edit it and say this is not what I want. I want something different. I don't want a relationship. I want maybe mental health. And then you edit and you save. So that's what you can do when it comes to that. So whatever thing you don't want here, in case you're using their template, you come edit, put what you want and say health, and then you save it and then you continue. Yeah. So that is what you can do when it comes to SurveyMonkey. But this one, like I've said, is for payment. But the beauty with it, also it is very easy when it comes to analyzing your data. So in case you want to print this one out, what you do, you can just come here where you're seeing the three dots here in the corner, come to where there is print, and they'll give you a print out how it can look like, and it can be very easy for you now. Let me just save it. I just want to show you how it will look like. It will be like this. Okay. Where is that form now? I think let me say it is here. So it will look like that. Yeah, so you can then print out these forms and then you serve them to people in case you have not typed it in a Google form, in the Word. Now, we have about 9 minutes to end. So I'm not going to be able to finish everything. So next time when we come back, next week, I will continue to talk about the other two research instruments. And after those research instruments, I'll go on to show you how we can approach the next chapter of analysis, God willing that the time will allow. So allow me now to entertain questions. So allow me to, I'll take on only 10 questions. So I'll start with Pato.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I would like to ask, like to inquire, can we do community-based topics or only school-based topics? And the other thing is that, so I think you should direct me on the best approach to use. Can I use questionnaire method? Is it the most effective method to use compared to the rest?
Okay, thank you so much. One, when it comes to data collection, school-based projects will be better because getting data from schools will be easy. Then when it comes to community one, they are also very good. Also when it comes to community, they are also very good. So I would say both of them, whatever approach you use, community or school, all of them are good projects.
All right.
Then two, when it comes to the method, I would say that a mixture of all methods is the best approach. We call it mixed approach. So you using questionnaires, using interviews, and using observations can be good. It will depend on the topic you are dealing with, because and the objectives or the research questions that you are responding to. But using questionnaires, it may limit you. More so if your topic may require someone to describe for you something. So there, an interview can give you more in-depth knowledge about that topic. Let me say you are dealing with things concerning the hospital and the rest of that. You having questionnaires can help, but you interacting with the doctors, the people, can give you something more deep to understand the problem further. In case you are dealing with the community, you interacting with the chairman about a particular thing can give you more knowledge. So mixing, having a blend of all, it is the best. Hope that is okay. Pato, have I answered your question?
Yes. And so I'm like, yes, you're saying the interview is good for the topic. Okay, like the method is according to the topic you've chosen. That is right. And again, I'm confused. Like if I'm going to use quantitative analysis,
Mm.
so I don't need to, should I estimate or I give the actual result?
You give the actual results. Remember, we have qualitative, quantitative, and mixed. So I would do advise that you go in for the mixed approach, such that you can mix the qualitative and the quantitative during the analysis.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Aisha,
Good afternoon, teacher.
good afternoon.
Yeah, my question was about the independent and dependent thing.
Yes.
I'm confused of what the independent is and dependent.
Now, independent is like the cause of something. Then the effect is what we call the dependent variable. I'll give an example when I use substance and mental well-being, that your mental well-being is affected by the substances you take. In case I'm looking at infrastructure facilities and academic performance, I'm looking at how do the infrastructure facilities you have in your institution contribute or affect how you perform in school. That when you have the school library, you have the computer lab, we shall know that it will contribute, that more computers will mean that more ICT skills are learned. Are you getting the difference? Aisha, let me hope I have responded to
Yes,
you.
teacher, I've understood.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
yes. Those two variables should be measurable. You must be able to measure them to have quantities that can be measured. Okay, Prince Karen.
Okay, so my question goes with, are we required to attach our things we are using? For example, the questionnaires, the interviews, are we required to attach them?
The answer is yes. Now, under your appendix, that's where you're going to attach them. Those important documents you have used. So you attach them. So you're supposed to attach them. So that's why those papers, I'll refer you back. Those papers that you were using, those papers in term 2 that your teachers gave you to analyze, you might have noticed that at the end of any research paper, down there, there are sources, secondary sources that and primary sources these people use. That's why I was talking about secondary and primary data. So all the primary data and secondary data you have used, like I've talked about the uh, 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 I've talked about how you to get the population sample. I've talked about what. So all those things you have used, you attach them there. But those things you attach are not counted among the 4,000 words. Those things are not counted, but they should be part as evidence that you really did this work on your own. Okay. Hope I have been able to answer the question. Okay. I go to another one. Karen, hope it has been answered.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Kisha.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
My question goes like, how do you report non-respondent rates? Like, for example, you've used interviews, and then people are not going for particular questions, and in my data I need them. How am I going to report that? Am I going to leave it out, or because I might need that information as well? And
Now,
then the other question
mhm.
is, if I'm using more than one sampling technique, do I justify them differently in my report?
Yes, you are going to justify them differently. Then the question on in case people don't respond, what? Those are some of the challenges in your reflection because you must write a reflection journal. Those are some of the things you are going to put under reflection, some of the challenges you faced during your project. Those are some of the things you will indicate. And in case it comes to referencing, because remember, in case you are going to use some words, let me say, head teacher so and so said that. That means that when you are in typing, you'll put them under parentheses. You'll come, let me say, you'll put them in under italic format. More so if you're using someone's exact words from the interview. That Kisha, in the interview, Kisha said, but you don't mention schools, don't mention community where you have been, and don't mention that person's name unless the person said so. And or maybe in case you got the consent.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
that fine?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sharma. Sharma.
Yes, teacher. So I was asking,
Mm.
so you see how we're talking about the methods used, like basing on like the methods we are using on the research instruments, right?
Mm.
So I wanted to know, yes, they are formed from our objectives, but how
Mm.
exactly can I know whether the method is I'm going to use is a questionnaire or an interview or an observation?
Okay. Can you share with us? Okay. Now, how do you know the method to use? Now, it's going to depend on how you stated your objective. Now, take an example. I'll give you an objective here. I gave you, uh, let me share my screen again. When you look at these objectives I have, when you read them, the first one, relation between frequency of substance use and levels of mental well-being. Remember, you have basically three. You have observation, you have questionnaires, and you have interviews. So you can check to analyze how different types of substance use influence learners' mental well-being. Now, for some of these things, you may want to get more information like types of substance. Here, you can put them in questionnaires. But in case you want to understand further about these types, you can have some interviews with students. So students can tell you the types of substance kids use in dorm. That maybe they use shisha, they use this and this and this. In case you want to, so here you find that questionnaire may apply in almost all. Here you may find that depending on your objective, but questionnaire may cut across all. But in case your thing is about to know how, maybe to see how infrastructure facilities maybe do and academic performance, something like that. Now you need to know that for such, you may need to first see them yourself. That infrastructures, I've seen them in school. So that means that the best approach to use is observation. So it will depend on the kind of topic you are dealing with. In case it is school related and there is things that require seeing using your eye, then it means you need to use observation. But in case you want to know something in depth, then it means that you need to go uh you need to go on to go deep and then you know whether actually that particular thing exists. In case you want to know something at depth, questionnaires alone cannot help you. That's why now you need to have an interview to understand something further. Yeah, in case you are dealing with things concerning business economics, interacting with these business people and observing can as well help you further. I don't know that I've answered your question. Yes, the project you are doing, your objectives is what will dictate the best approach to use.
Yes, teacher. Thank you, teacher.
Okay. Yes. Emma Waninga.
Yes, Master, I would like to know whether the questionnaire form is also submitted to NEB.
I want to say that whatever thing you are going to do, you are going to attach it in your report.
Oh,
Is that okay?
and even to be included in the words, it will be counted.
No, I've said questionnaires, those things are not included. They are not counted when they are counting the 4,000 words. Those things are not counted.
Now, which words are counted?
Oh, those ones, I don't know whether you have watched the recording, but I will refer you to the first recording, but I will show you in the next section. I think towards the end,
Yes.
I will show you. I will
Okay,
show
sir.
you what is counted and what is not counted. But things like titles, things like uh, uh, tables, some of those things are not counted at all.
Okay, sir, I appreciate.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Let me have one. I said 10. Okay, Carol.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to ask on the question if I wanted to quote something in my extended essay. For example, I picked some information from a book because it told
Mm,
us to collect information from the various
mm.
books, like in my data collection. So, do I put quotes, or how should I state the person in the essay in my sentence?
Okay, now that is what we call referencing. I'm going
Yes.
to refer you to referencing styles. There is a video, one of those days, some days back, we looked at it. But when it comes to referencing, I will encourage you to use APS style, whereby you start with the author. Let me say surname. Use the surname. You say Kaziva, and then you say 2025, Ajud, that, and then you continue like that.
Yes.
Then in case you want to bring it at the end, then that means you write Kaziva, you write it Kaziva, put a comma 2025 when the person published the book.
Oh,
But there are
I
different styles.
put to
Come.
the book.
Yes?
I also put the book. I picked the information.
No, the book, that one will come in the references and the bibliography. Here you just put the
Oh.
person, what the person said, what you have learned from the person, something like that.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay, but I'm going to advise that you go and watch that session on referencing, because it will depend. In case you find that two people are on that in the book, two authors of the book, there is a way you are supposed to reference them. In case there are five, there is a way you are supposed to reference them. So there are different referencing styles depending on how many authors you have in the book and the source where you have picked the information.
Thank you, sir.
Bob? Okay. I'm failing to get Bob. Selgo David. Good afternoon.
My question might be step ahead.
Oh, you
Or
are very low.
behind.
I can't hear you well.
My question is,
Hmm.
I have two questions. We have essay writing or extended essay. Then in
Come
the
again.
video, we have extended essay. Then
Hmm.
in the video,
Hmm.
the way you are, it's like at the end of the cycle,
Hmm.
we are going to look taking survey on how we can solve any problem within the community. Then the question
Hmm.
is, like for example, at the end of the cycle, what we neighbor wanted, it is either a tangible product or a service. Now, what confuses me, are you going to just make at the end of the cycle, are you going to just make a report after writing your extended essay and also in the video project? Or
Okay. I've not gotten you well, but I'll respond from what I've understood. Now, one, the product of the individual project is the extended essay. There is then no way you are going to write the extended essay if you have not carried on the project. So it is from the project that you are going to come up with an extended essay. So it is an extended essay is a subset of individual project. So your product from the individual project is the extended essay. Hope you have understood.
okay, because in all level,
Yes?
we had the project plan.
Come
In all
again, come
level, we
again.
had the project.
Now, don't confuse two things. Don't confuse all level project-based learning and projects with A level. Those are totally two things that are different. Though you can apply some knowledge, but those are totally two different things.
Please,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Okay. Lydian, Lydian, Aku.
Teacher, are we supposed to do project work in GP only or also other subjects as well?
Now, GP, you are doing individual project. Then,
Mm.
then other subjects, you can use project-based learning as an approach to learning. But this one is particularly in GP only.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
But
thank you.
you have noticed that you apply quite a number of subjects. Uh, okay. Infinix. Infinix. Okay. Oh, lastly, Selgo.
Teacher,
Yes.
good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon.
Teacher, I came in late, but I request you to help me on how to write the title page.
Title page, I'm going to refer you to last week's video, but your title page should contain your topic that you are, the topic you are dealing with. Two, it should have your student details, your school, all those things.
Okay.
It should have, but we did it last week. If I can ask you to refer to that, but I can share screen. But last week's video, we talked about how your title page should look like. So a sample
Okay,
of
teacher.
something like this.
Oh. Okay, thank you very much, teacher.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Now, Anthony? Okay. Then, so lastly, I'm going to request that let's take the general paperwork very, very what? Serious. The work is practical. These things you must do them yourself. Eh, so you must do them yourself. Yeah, so you must do them yourself. So someone, I want to respond before I continue. Someone is saying, should the school name appear? Yes, the school name, like whenever you are submitting your papers or publishing, you must, for this particular project, because you are going to submit them to your school, and then the school is the one that is going to take on the next level. That's why we put it there. Yeah, because even just mention the index number, it shows you the school. It shows the school. Yeah. So now this is what you covered in senior. Anything we are doing, it is on the syllabus. Please and please avoid or desist from rumors. I know like someone I saw a question that they told us these things were scrapped off, what and the rest of that. Please only listen to information you have obtained from UNEP or NCDC. Anything you have not obtained from those two bodies, please avoid working on rumors. Whatever thing we are doing, it is on the syllabus. And we expect, like I've been showing you the linkage from secondary, from senior 1 to senior 3 up to where you are. Meaning that it has a way, like this is a competence-based curriculum. What you learned at one level can be applied at another level. So it is cumulative in form. So sit down, look at the syllabus. This is the syllabus for general paper. Like anything. Now, like today we have been looking at data collection, but you must have looked at those things in your senior 5. You must have looked at data collection methods. You must have looked at the tools, the instruments I've been talking about. You must have looked at how to analyze data, how to present data graphically in table format. Yes. And whatever you learned in senior 5, now we are applying it now. We are applying it now. So please and please take time, start working on your project. I know some of you have not yet started, others are waiting. But like I've said, here, do not copy and paste what you have seen from other people. Do it yourself. That's how you'll be able to answer or to respond to tasks and scenarios. Remember, if they set for a scenario may have any problem, but the approach for writing the proposal, the research plan is the same, but it will come from your understanding. But if you base on what other people are doing what and the rest of that, without putting yourself there to do it yourself, you'll find a lot of problems. So the whole of this year, you are expected to achieve this competence. We are solving a problem, we are doing an investigation. So, but so far, we have looked at this. This is the guidance from the syllabus. Like someone was asking the school name and the rest of that, you will notice that your title page should have your name, school, and registration number. This is the guidance from NCDC. So these are some of the things you must have. Then the topic, content, table of contents. So we have already looked at topic, we have looked at table of contents, we looked at introduction, we looked at research guiding questions. We are now on the body. We are building on a body. And today we have looked at this. This is chapter 1. This is chapter 2 of literature. We have looked at methods used to collect data for the essay, and now we shall complete it next week, and then after we shall look at how to analyze. Now the moment you have all those things, the moment we combine all those sections, then we shall have formed our extended essay, and then we shall be very good. Like I repeat, this is practical. You must do it yourself. Don't base on, even here the teacher should just guide you. You must do it yourself. You must put in the time. You must you must do the work for you to be competent and to be in position to respond and to answer anything that will come your way. Yes. Magum, I've seen your hand up. Bob and Aka. Now, when is the deadline? This work is going up to third term. Okay. Okay. Allow me that we end here for today. We shall build up from there next week, but I expect everyone to develop some questionnaires for your topic. In case you have not yet started, just check on Holistic Learning Platform, get a picture on how things are supposed to be done, and then continue. A person for evidence, yes, it is okay. Take some photos whenever you go to the field to show that you did the work yourself. In fact, let me first stop this recording.